The Archduke is dead. At around 11 a.m. on June 28th, two shots were fired in Sarajevo, and Franz Ferdinand and his wife, Princess Sophie of Hohenberg, were dead by 11:30 a.m. The European continent is shocked by this, and telegraphs both consoling Emperor Franz Joseph about the death of his nephew and heir, and condemning the regicide flood into Vienna. Nobody expects what is to come. In 1914, Serbia had just earned its independence from the sick man of Europe, the Ottoman Empire. Nationalist sentiment was at an all-time high. The idea of a unified Slavic state became fairly popular during this period, and one of the most contentious talking points was Bosnia and Herzegovina, which Austria-Hungary had been occupying for nearly 40 years at that point. This led to a young man named Gavrilo Princip joining the terrorist group Young Bosnia and getting in contact with another terrorist organization, the Black Hand, which many Serbian government officials were involved in. This allowed Austrian apologists to claim that the assassination, which Princip committed, was ordered by Serbia. Quote, an investigation of the crime by Austro-Hungarian officials has revealed that the plot was planned and promoted in Belgrade with the cooperation of official Serbian individuals and was carried out with the weapons from the Serbian government depot. While these claims are totally unfalsifiable, will have dire consequences on the world. Austria-Hungary, despite having lost its heir, could see the opportunity to expand political influence southward was showing itself, and was further emboldened by Germany, who delivered the famous blank check on July 5th. This declared the German Empire would support Austria in whatever action they deemed necessary to punish Serbia. This caused Austria to decide early on that they should go to war with Serbia. The Austrian foreign minister in Belgrade summarizes this position like this. I consider this exposition essential to the inevitable conclusion that a settlement with Serbia involving a war not only for the preservation of Austria-Hungary's position as a great power, but even for her very existence, cannot be permanently avoided. The Kaiser then went on his scheduled summer vacation to Norway on the 6th to show Europe that the situation was far from a crisis, allowing the warmongers in Vienna to take control. This allowed Austria to work freely towards escalating the crisis to a global scale, leading the world into a conflict that would leave 20 million dead. Throughout the majority of July, almost every state in Europe remained mostly sympathetic to the Austrians, and for the time a peaceful solution was not only possible but expected. With the exception of a few jingoist general staff members of Austria and Germany, war was neither wanted nor expected, but those few jingoists kept pushing the problem until July 23rd, when Vienna sent an ultimatum to Belgrade, completely shocking the world. The ultimatum was a gross and clear violation of Serbian sovereignty. Some demands made, including Austrian courts taking control of the trials of Serbian officials, and to add insult to the injury, Serbia was only given 48 hours to respond, nowhere near enough time to respond to such an ultimatum. On the 24th, when the contents of the ultimatum were revealed, Europe was shocked. The Kaiser cut his vacation short to try to deal with the gross negligence of the government he left behind. British, French, and Russian diplomats met with each other, and then Austria and Germany, trying to at least get an extension on the deadline. Despite how quickly tensions rose, Germany refused to abandon the blank check. It was a game of chicken with all of Europe at stake. When July 25th arrived, Serbia responded by accepting all but one of the 10 points of the ultimatum. Kaiser Wilhelm privately wrote, "Every cause for war vanished," but not to the Austrians, who subsequently declared war on Serbia on the 28th. The next day, Russia began to mobilize externally, while internally Kaiser Wilhelm and Tsar Nicholas engaged in the Willy-Nicky telegrams, in a last-ditch effort to preserve peace. This was nearly successful when British diplomat Sir Edward Grey proposed to the two emperors the Stop in Belgrade plan, where Austrians would occupy the capital of Serbia until the points that they had agreed to were met, at which point the Austrians would leave. The war was nearly prevented, but German Chancellor Hollweg, deliberately or not we'll never know, waited too long to deliver the plan to Austria, who was already crossing the Serbian border. There would be no peace. The rest of the crisis was no longer controlled or controllable. As Russia mobilized, Germany issued their own ultimatum ordering Russia to stop mobilizing, which was never responded to. Germany was at war on August 1st. The next day, Germany turned west and began the process of enacting the Schlieffen Plan, fully occupying Luxembourg as they had done so partially the previous day, and issuing another ultimatum to Belgium, which would force them to allow German soldiers in their country in a definitely not occupation. This was refused the next day. August 3rd saw French entry into the war. Peace is now entirely out of the question, and August 4th finalizes this 40-day period as Germany invades Belgium and Britain responds by declaring war on Germany. The stage has been set for one of the most brutal wars in human history, where war would be waged at an industrial scale never seen up to that point in history, and whose effects continue to shape the world today.